Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about Fear Street Part 2, 1978, and this movie is on Netflix, and it was a horror movie that I watched, a slasher, I guess, maybe, I don't know. After watching the first movie, I was kind of hoping this would be funny bad, but in the end it was just everything that the first movie was, but just much more boring, very repetitive, and although the first movie was very repetitive, this movie is, in comparison, like, the first movie kind of felt like it had nothing to offer, but this one, for, like, some stupid reason, or maybe some miracle that it was able to pull off, it has even less than, like, nothing going on. And the characters are really annoying, even more than the first movie, and it picks up right where the first movie left off, and then it just tells you this whole backstory that's taking place in 1978, and none of it matters whatsoever. And I have seen the third movie already at this point, and wow, does this movie feel pointless. Like, you really don't need to watch this movie at all to understand, like, what's going on in the story. Like, in the grand scheme of things, like, aside from, like, the very beginning and the very end, like, the first 5 to 10 minutes to the last 10 minutes, everything in between, skip, don't watch, it's not worth your time, because it is a very pointless movie and did not need to happen. And there was a lot of, like, backstory given to, like, when it was in the flashback scenes in 1978, like, oh, there's some history here, even though we're supposed to kind of be getting that, and it was, like, a really confusing choice, and I don't understand why we were doing that. And I'm just like, just tell us the story that you're trying to get to. Instead, just keeps talking about history, and, like, and all the characters don't use their brains, and they're just completely unlikable, and I felt even less sympathy for these characters than I did for the characters in the first film, and I was not expecting that to happen while watching this movie. I'll tell you that much. I also really hated how the music in the movie was used, and it just felt like it was clashing with the tone, and although this movie doesn't really have a tone, and it's just random things going on, and nothing is really linked together, and the whole movie could be told in any order whatsoever, and nothing would be changed about the end product. And the dialogue in the movie did not feel as though it was from the 70s. It just felt like people from 2021 talking, and that was very distracting, and the acting was terrible. I didn't buy anyone as their characters, and to top it all off, just like the first movie, nothing makes any sense. And although things are kind of explained in the third movie-ish, in this movie I didn't feel as though I learned anything. Like, it's the most pointless sequel that you could have made. Like, it's a metal movie. It's trying to be like Lord of the Rings, only it's missing everything that makes those movies work. And the first movie, it's establishing everything, and in Two Towers, the second one, it doesn't really have the advantage of setting things up or paying off. It just has to work as a standalone middle film, and that's really difficult, but it has like 3 hours to, like, develop everything and to make everything interesting and continue the story and characters that you loved from the first movie. And that's why it works in that movie. In this movie, that doesn't happen because we have a whole new set of characters, and I don't know these people. I don't care about any of them, and the movie never develops any of them outside of, like, the most basic things you could come up with. And this movie is filled with cliches, and it just feels completely uninspired, and I want to see something original, something that's unique, interesting, and I just don't get that from this movie. And there's so many moments where while I was watching the movie, I'm thinking to myself, what room are we in? Like, I can tell if we're inside or outside, but I never really get a sense of the location very well because there's so many close shots, and I'm just waiting for some wide shots. And granted, we do get a couple wide shots towards the beginning when we go back to the 70s, but for the most part, it's not that. And I'm just waiting for a wide shot so I can see the location. And that never really happened throughout the entire film. And the movie, it does waste a lot of time, and the death scenes were boring and not fun or satisfying in any way, because it just has the tropes of these horror movies, but it doesn't even have the elements to make a death satisfying. Like, when you screw that up, like even the Friday the 13th movies, there's some fun deaths in those movies, but in this movie, it doesn't even have that, so what is the point of this movie? And I was just bored out of my mind while watching this movie, and I just wanted it to end, and I was just hoping the movie would get on with it, and it never did, and it just went on forever, and I feel like I wasted my time, and I do not want to talk about this movie any longer. So skip this movie whenever you come across it. It's terrible, it's boring, and has all of the issues that the first movie had, but it's worse because it's not even funny bad, except for a couple moments that made me chuckle, as in like laughing at the movie, not with it. Aside from that, there was nothing. So, with all that being said, I'm going to give Fear Street Part 2, 1978, a 1 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos. As always, if you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below you thought of Fear Street Part 2 in 1978, and my social media links, they will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for Fear Street Part 2, 1666. Yeah, I got the date right. I got the full title correct. And the reason I'm talking about this third movie now is because I just want to get this over with. So look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.